Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a drink, it is time for some PathOfExile discussion. Welcome to day 13 of teaser season for patch 3.25 and the upcoming Settlers of Kalguur expansion. Today is the calm before the storm. We got one small announcement, and honestly it's a fairly incomplete announcement, in there's a lot of details that have been deliberately left out. That's because Grinding Gear Games' main purpose with this announcement is to get you to tune in to the GGG live event, which is taking place about 16 hours after I record this video. Countdown to it on the PathOfExile official website. You just go to pathofexile.com and it'll be on the first screen there. That's going to be where they'll give most of the information about what to expect in 3.25. The day 14 video in this series is going to be much more substantial than the day 13 one. But let's get to today's news. 3.23 Affliction League introduced the Viridian Wildwood, which was the most lucrative encounter the game had ever seen from a pure loot disgorging viewpoint. What this meant was that it was dropping more raw divine orbs, more mirrors of Kalandra, more Veldo's puzzle boxes than absolutely anything else the game had ever seen. And the way that it did this was a threefold system of empowering monsters. You'd go into the Wildwood, and the Wildwood was sort of like its own unique map, and it had a gimmick where you had no mini-map when you were in there. You'd be only able to take a certain limited number of steps while you're in there, so you had to really count your steps if you were min-maxing things. And you would pick up yellow, blue, and purple wisps, and then these would serve as loot multipliers to all of the monsters within the rest of the zone. Not just loot multipliers, they'd be difficulty multipliers as well. One colour of the wisps would boost quantity, one colour would boost rarity, and the third colour would cause some percentage of the drops that came from monsters to be converted into currency, but paying attention to the rarity of the item that was converted. For example, unique items would always convert to an Orb of Annulment, an Exalted Orb, or a Divine Orb, roughly in a 2 to 5 to 5 ratio. Rare items, if this conversion procced, would turn into something that was a middle tier currency, such as a Chaos Orb or an Orb of Regret, and a magic item would turn into a low tier currency, such as an Orb of Alteration. The most powerful mechanic for the Wildwood was to get a balance of all three colours. That would tend to give you the best loot overall. The Wildwood coming back is going to be restricted only to tier 16 and 17 maps. More details to come on this, and it looks like it will be an RNG event only. At least that's my interpretation from the teaser that's been given, but I will say that it is not absolutely definitive exactly what's going on. The other thing to note is that the precise wording that's used here does not rule out the possibility that we could have other things coming back as well. For example, you might encounter Sentinel encounters, you might encounter something tied to the Kalandra mechanics, something tied to the Crucible mechanics. Don't know exactly what they're going to be, just that there will be some forms of new endgame encounters, and that these will include the Viridian Wildwood. Grinding Gear Games also state that the Wildwood NPCs have moved on, and that you won't be able to acquire the Wildwood Ascendancies from them, but then they leave it pretty open that there may be some alternate source of getting those Wildwood Ascendancies. We'll have to find out more about that in tomorrow's major announcement. Additionally, interestingly, you'll see here that someone is using Occupying Forces on the Deadeye, which is a node that virtually no one takes, and I'm curious to see whether that indicates there may be some buff to it. One thing I will point out about the Viridian Wildwood though, this is going to be weaker than it was in the past, and the main reason for that is that in the past, rare monsters would sometimes have their own conversion mechanics, and while some of these are still in the game, the ones that were responsible for top 1% players getting absolutely monstrous loot explosions, like the 80 plus divines you see on the screen at the moment, that particular conversion's been removed. And the other thing that's been patched from Affliction League is a particularly egregious bug/exploit that was causing Abyssal Spires to drop way more loot than there was intended. That's been patched, and so that's not going to be a factor either. Anyways, I think we'll get a lot more on what causes these events to happen when the GGG live event happens in a few hours' time. I'll leave the reporting side of things there, but my own plans for the GGG live event, I'm going to be rebroadcasting it over on Twitch, and that's going to be with my live commentary. That'll be my first thoughts, and I may actually be able to upload that to YouTube, given that Twitch has had a policy change that seems to allow that now. So it's quite possible that the first thing that I post to YouTube tomorrow will be my first thoughts. After that, I want to do a deep dive on the patch notes, assuming that we get them tomorrow. That will be as a live stream done on YouTube, rather than a live stream done over on Twitch. So it'll be a quick one over on Twitch while we go through first thoughts, then we'll come over here and dig much deeper into things here. That's all I've got for today. May your Varlobs have interesting results, and I will see you at the GGG live event tomorrow.